Good evening, all. Yesterday we discussed about the mulberry breeding. Today I'm here to share the part of mulberry breeding. Here I'm sharing my screen. I'm trying to share my screen, but it is not allowing to share my screen. In between, I will try. Whatever. See, mulberry breeding. Yesterday we discussed about the different nutritive uh, nutritive value of mulberry. Before that, the propagation methods like tea budding and propagation through as a part of propagation through budding. We have seen the tea budding and the propagation through grafting. We have seen the Shion and stalk propagation cutting. And we also have seen the nursery. Before that, we have discussed about the preparation of media as a part of mulberry propagation. Yesterday, we discussed all these things. Apart this, we also have the um, we also have the mulberry breeding. What is mulberry breeding? Here, first before going to the mulberry breeding, uh, the only a small fraction of the total mulberry gene pool is used for developing varieties suitable for silkworm rearing, and a great bulk of the gene pool is still left in the wilderness. Cytogen. Here, first we have to see the cytogenetics of the mulberry. What is cytogenetics here? Means the presence of chromosomes. Cytogenetics of under the cytogenetics of the mulberry, the natural polyploids are common in mulberry, though diploids with 28 chromosomes, that is, a diploid chromosome 2n is equals to 28, are triploid with 42 chromosomes, are more frequent tetraploids with the 56 chromosomes, and hexaploids with 84 chromosomes, and octoploids with 112 chromosomes are found uh, in the different types of the mulberry plants. Chromosomes of the mulberry are small as the length varies from 1.17 micrometer to 5.23 micrometer. Availability of genetic resources. Large number of germplasm accessions are available in China, India, Japan, Korea, and Vietnam. Once again, I will try with computer to share my screen. And conservation of genetic resources. In India, mulberry genetic resources are conserved in four different ways, such as in situ conservation method, ex situ conservation method, and in vitro conservation and DNA banking, gene banking. What is in situ conservation? As a part of in situ conservation, conserving plants at their original habits is known as in situ conservation, and it allows evolutionary forces such as natural selection and mutation, popular natural select and popular in situ conservation and natural selection and mutation, popular structuring to act continuously to promote further evolution of evolution of the species. Out of the 14 biosphere reserves identified by the National Committee on Environmental Planning and Coordination NCEPL and Man and Biosphere, that is UNESCO, 8 locations, those are Uttarakhand, Nanda Devi, and Nandapha, and Kaziranga, Mans, Nokrek, North Andaman, and Great Andaman Nicobar Islands for conserving the mulberry. Ex situ conservation. Conservation of seeds at low temperature is not preferred for germplasm conservation in mulberry. Due to the high heterozygosity of the parental plants, since mulberry is capable of being propagated through stem cuttings. Yesterday we discussed about the stem cuttings, we can how we can propagate the mulberry plants. And since mulberry is capable of being propagated through stem cuttings, the common methods of conservation are field germplasm banks or preserving vegetative buds in laboratory. Germplasm banks are maintained in different ways depending upon their longevity and utility. Active collections of germplasm are used for evaluation of accessions for environmental traits and distribution of genetic resources to the breeders and other research groups, whereas base collections are used for long-term preservation without much disturbances. Duplicates of base collections are usually developed in geographically distant places as a safety measurement against against the loss of the uh, dist- uh, duplicates of base collections are usually developed in geographically distant places as the safety measures against loss to natural disasters and biotic destructions. New varieties evolved for gangetic. New varieties are evolved. Here, how we can, what are the genetic breeding strategies in mulberry? Germplasm evaluation, uh, then the parental selection, means the best parental selection we have to check. Then hybrid and seed collection, a controlled uh, crossing and opening population, and seedlings of the nursery. Yesterday we also discussed how to grow like in the nurseries, and seedling assessments, progeny, root traits, primary yield traits, trials with selection for PRT, and then final yield traits with the selection from the PYTs, multi-location traits with the selection from FYT by regional research selection under a breeding institutes. All over the India, all India coordinated trials with the outstanding selections from different breeding institutions. And then the next process is registration and mass multiplication and variety release. For temperate hills and the coastal saline soil, the high yielding varieties developed in India are of 15 varieties. One is Victory one from South India, the region of South India irrigated, and CS RTI from CSRTI Mysore, hybrid from S30X C 776, as like that Vishala from South India. From South India, we have a Victory one, Vishala, Ananta, DD, S13, and S34. All these are almost from CSRTI Mysore, and the origin is mostly clonal selection and selection from polycross. And next, coming to the uh, eastern and northeast irrigated, S1, S7 7999, and S1635, C776, and S146, and TR10. Almost all these are from eastern and northeast irrigated. From saline soils, North India, and hills, Jammu and Kashmir, and hills of eastern India. The other one is BC 256 from hills of eastern India, and Gosho Erami from temperate region, and Czech Majra subtemperate region. The next one from the unit 4 is hybrid vigor. What is hybrid vigor? Hybrid vigor is the improved activity and survival of hybrid offspring, and technically called as heterosis. In genetic, it is called as heterosis. Heterosis, hybrid vigor, or outbreeding enhancement is the improved or increased function of any biological quality in a hybrid offspring. Inbreeding in a normal population leads to the offspring getting worse, less fit, less fertile, and usually not living as a as long as as a parent. The opposite, outbreeding, leads to fit, healthy, fertile offspring. This effect has been known for a long time. Animal breeders have known it since 18th century, and Darwin investigated it in detail with plants. Heterosis in mulberry, when in contrast to the mulberry, heterosis has been studied for leaf yield and its component characters by several workers. It is reported that heterosis breeding in mulberry is quite possible, though the plant is known to be highly heterozygous, means presence of two types of gene. Uh, it has further been observed that a hybrid Behemoth 1 is 1 into uh, Kajli is highly promising for further utilization. The productivity of a genotype, the productivity of the genotype is functions of its adaptability to a particular environment, stability of a genotype depending upon the ability to retain certain morphological and physiological characters, along with its production, efficiency over variable environments. A mulberry genotype C1999 performed better in high yielding environments, but its performance fell down in the stress environments comparing to its genetic potentiality. The reports saying that none of the genotypes could be identified as a stable for leaf yield in the strict consideration with respect to the mean performance. Linear response, regression, and magnitude of the uh, deviation from the regression. When coming to the checkpoints here, which mulberry variety suitable for coastal saline soil, and the other one is what part of the graft combination which is becoming the upper portion of the shoot system of new plant, and the other one is conservation plants, their original habitat is known as which conservation, and the fourth one is the part which is becoming lower portion or the root of new plant to supply nutrients. The last one is hybrid vigor is technically called as. Just now we discussed about the hybrid vigor, and so what we will call the hybrid vigor means heterosis. Just now we discussed heterosis, no, hybrid vigor. So technically hybrid vigor is called as heterosis, and the other one is we discussed about stock yesterday. So stalk is the part which is to become lower portion or the root of the new plant. New plant. Scion means stem. Stem is the part which is become upper portion or the stem of the new plant is scion. Here it is stalk. Stalk is the plant part which is become lower portion or the root of new plant to supply nutrients. And coming to the one more question, that is, what is the question here? Uh, ah, in situ is the in situ is the conservation plants at their original habitats is known as in situ conservation. And the next one is, as just we discussed, Scion is the part of graft combination which is to become upper portion of the shoot system of the new plant. And one more question here. Mulberry variety which is suitable for coastal saline soil is C776. This is about unit 4, and we in this unit we have to concentrate on details about the mulberry nursery and mulberry varieties in the recent times, grafting, budding, and nutritive value of mulberry, and propagation of mulberry by seeds, and preparation of media for mulberry propagation, uh, We also yesterday discussed about air layering, mulberry nursery, root grafting. Just now we discussed about hybrid vigor, ex situ conservation and in situ conservation. Mulberry varieties for temperate hills. What are the mulberry varieties presented in the temperate hills? And trench layering and simple layering, propagation through cutting and good medium and FYM and its composition and tea budding, nursery bed preparation and nursery plantation and maintenance. Next, coming to the next topic, that is cultivation practices. Again, I tried it myself. So here in this cultivation practices, we are going to study about the cultivation practices, which includes the climatic factors, preparation of land, and planting methods, farm implementation and their uses, manures and manuring, irrigation, pruning. The main thing here is, as we discussed in the past classes, mulberry is ready for weeds. So we have to identify that weeds first, and we have to control the weeds here. So weeds and type of weeds and their control, and farm records, and maintenance of and maintenance, then estimation of leaf area, and lastly economics. Here we have here in this chapter we are going to learn about the cultivation of mulberry. Somehow we covered in the last 2 3 chapters, and here in this chapter we are learning about the environmental conditions required for mulberry growth, and we are going to understanding the preparation of land for cultivation and planting system, and also here we are learning about the importance of the manures and manuring, and irrigation importance, as just we discussed pruning. Yesterday also we discussed about the pure pruning, and weed and their control, and the usage of farm records, and estimation of yield and economics of mulberry cultivation. Here, mulberry plants depends for their growth and development on their genetic constituent and environmental factors. Our country environmental conditions are well suitable for the mulberry healthy growth. Like other crops, agriculture factors for the mulberry are also play important role for its growth. Crop growth is based on aerial soil conditions. What are aerial factors? Here the aerial factors like climate and good structure of soil and texture of soil, air, water resources, anchoring, and nutrients will support the plant growth. The nutrients and water required for plant must come from the soil. For this, one must adopt good cultivation practices. And coming to the cultivation practices, mulberry can grow in between 15 to 20 years with full flush. The cultivation efforts in the first year yield good leaf yield. In the second year, in sericulture, benefits are not only mulberry leaf production but leaf quality. which decide the health of silkworms. Early worms required good quality leaf, while mulberry plant depending upon the soil nutrients for its quality. What are the climatic factors? Here the climatic factors. Mulberry thrives under various climatic conditions ranging from temperate to tropical, located north of the equator between 28 to 55 latitude. The ideal range of temperature is from 24 degrees centigrade to 28 degrees centigrade. Mulberry grows well in practices with an annual rainfall ranging from 600 to 2500 mm. In areas with low rainfall, growth is limited through moisture stress, resulting in low yields. On average, mulberry requires 340 per hectare of water every 10 days in case of loamy soils and in 15 days in clayey soils. Atmospheric humidity is ranging from 65 to 80% is the ideal for mulberry growth. When coming to the sunshine, means temperature, sunshine, one of the most important factor controlling growth and leaf quality. In the tropics, mulberry grows with a sunshine ranging from 9 to 13 hours per a day. Mulberry can be cultivated from sea level up to an elevation of 1000 meters. And coming to the soil conditions, mulberry flourishes well in soils that are flat, deep, fertile, and well drained, loamy to clayey. We already discussed all these points yesterday also, and also porous with good moisture holding capacities. The ideal range of the pH is 6.2 to 6.8. The optimum being 6.5 to 6.8. Soil amendments may be used to correct the soil to obtain the required pH. The quantity of the gypsum or lime to be applied in different cases to bring the pH to 6.8. How much gypsum we have to add for the pH range, for maintaining the pH range is, for maintaining 7.4 to 7.8, we have to add 2 tons of gypsum per hectare. And for maintaining 7.9 to 8.4 pH, 5 tons. For maintaining 8.5 to 9 tons. 9.1, more than that, above than that, we have to add 14 tons. Then when coming to the pH range, lime per hectare, if we want to maintain the temperature pH range of 5.5 to 6.5, we have to add 1.25 tons, 2 tons, 5 tons, and 7 tons, depending upon the hilly region and the soil type. 1.5 tons, 1.25 tons for plain, 2.5 tons per hilly region, and for sandy soil, and for sandy loamy soils, 2.50 tons and 5 tons of hilly areas. When coming to the loamy, lime per hectare for plain 5, 7.5 for hilly areas. The last one is 7.5 tons for lime per hectare plain, 8.75 tons hilly areas, and the soil type is clay loam. When coming to the preparation of land, preparation of land, it is a necessary point to prepare the land is in proper manner after the selection of land for mulberry cultivation. Firstly, small bushes, tree stones are to be removed from the land, and the field is to be leveled, and the leveling of the land depending upon the topography, that is flat and terrain, slopy land, and terraces. While leveling such areas, the level of the groundwater table must be considered. If the water level is high, poor drainage must be provided. Mulberry, as we know, it is a herbaceous plant having the deep root. Though preparation of the soil with a deep plugging or digging is a prerequisite for the mulberry. Whether it is a rain-fed or irrigated crop, after cessation of monsoon rains, the land is dug deep with a crowbar in case of small area. Otherwise, plugging with a heavy mold broad plug up to a depth of 30 to 45 centimeters is advantageous. The clods are allowed to weather, then the clods are broken, weeds, stones, gravel are removed. Means small stones also have to be removed. The land is then plucked crosswise further to cut down the furrow slices. Further, crisscross plugging with the country plug, the soil is brought to a fine tilt. Deep plugging helps deep rooting, quick establishment, and luxuriant plant growth. The land is to be leveled as flat as possible with the leveler of soil scraper. After ascertaining pH, soil is corrected by mixing gypsum or lime. The farm add manure is applied at the rate of 10 tons per hectare in pits, 20 tons per hectare in trenches before planting under rain-fed and irrigated cultivations. This manure favors root formation and plant growth. When the fertility levels is less, the saplings or the seedlings do not grow well, resulting in the loss. Thus, establishing of nursery nutrients, growth factors, is necessary for any plantations, sometimes it becoming inevitable for nursery and transplantations of sapling. Though the cost of cultivation slightly raises, it is a best practice. Thus, it is prerequisite to improve soil nutrients, and later plantation of cuttings is carried directly. After preparing the soil to a fine tilt, it is made into blocks of conservation sizes, and further depending upon the cultivation method, the land is further made into ridges and furrows for rain-fed and irrigated cultivations. The land can also be utilized for pit farming. However, all these preparations are to be completed before onset of the monsoon. What are the planting methods? As we already discussed yesterday of cutting through grafts, grafting. Here mulberry is planted either in the form of cutting or grafting. In India, cuttings are planted in the tropical region and grafts are in temperate region. In the pit or In the pit system of planting with wider spaces, spacing should be adopted for rain-fed mulberry. With the row system, closer spacing can be adopted for irrigated mulberry. These pits are filled with soil, preferably mixed with some cattle manure, and in the pits, the cuttings or rooted saplings are planted in the case of irrigated gardens. The prepared land is thrown into ridges and furrows by using a ridge former and working with the manual labor. The cuttings are later planted along the edge on the ridges. It may be noted that there is only one irrigation channel for every 2 rows of mulberry plants. This helps in both saving the water and more effective usage of irrigation water. Pit system of planting. Mulberry is planted in wide spacing, commonly 3 into 3, that is 90 centimeters to 90 centimeters boxing system. This system is practiced in rain-fed conditions. The advantage is that intercultivation is done using bullocks. As the space is wider, the savings on the cost of cultivation. In pit system, leaf harvesting by plucking is practiced and pruning is done only once a year. Where irrigation is available, the spacing is reduced to 2 to 2, means 60 centimeters to 60 centimeters. But the leaf harvesting is done by plucking. Yesterday we also discussed about the row system of planting. Here the row system of planting. This is two types again. One is single row planting and multiple row planting. In single row planting, mulberry subsidiary crop plants are raised along the boundaries of the fields. About 400 plants are required to cover the boundary of the 1 hectare of the area. In the multiple row system, the entire plot is used for the mulberry cultivation. About 10,000 plants can be cultivated per hectare with the distance between plants being 1 square meter. Between the rows of the plants, the soil is made into furrows to easy drainage of the water. This system of planting is followed in irrigated and rainfall areas. In the space between rows is wider than the space between plants within the rows. In here you can see the planting system. How we will maintain the planting system like a road and a pit system. The paid route row system of plantation is about here you can see this one is a pit system and this one is a row system. In pit system 90 centimeters and plant to plant 45 centimeters. When coming to the row system polar in between plant to plant 45 centimeters, and a first row plant to next row plant 10 centimeters. That is row system. Okay. And here the spacing between two facilities, the use of power tiller for intercultural operations and transportation of leaves. It is facilitates for use of drip irrigation system. Accommodates more number of plants per acre, easy and quick transportation of leaves, which reduces moisture loss, saves up to 40% due to shoot harvesting. In tropical conditions, as in South India, mulberry can root easily and further can root easily, therefore can be easily propagated through cuttings with a minimum of time and expenditure. The cuttings should be prepared from 4 to 8 months old hard out branches which are brown in color and at least half meter, means 10 to 12 millimeter in diameter. The cuttings should be at least 7 to 8, means 18 to 20 centimeters long with a minimum of 3 buds. The ends of the cuttings should be clean, cut with a sharp knife without splits. As yesterday we discussed the same thing, bark peeling off. When coming to the tree system of planting, here also we are discussing about the spacing and what is manures here. Application of a basic dose of organic manure like compost, cattle manure is necessary for successful establishment of the garden. Thereafter, the young growing plants should be assisted to put forth vigorous and maximum growth through periodical fertilizer applications. In the case of the rain-fed garden, which is planted in June to July during the southwest monsoon season, the mulberry will receive sufficient rains from both the monsoon, and this fact should be taken full advantage of to achieve maximum growth and build up a huge sturdy frame. So the plant may stand the following drought months from January to April very well, and this is achieved by applying 2 doses of nitrogenous fertilizers such as ammonium sulfate and or urea at the rate of 25 kg per hectare, or first applications after the 2.5 to the 3 months of growth, and again another 40 kg per hectare, second dose after the interval of another 3 months. This would enable the plants to reach a growth about 6 inches, that is 2 meters, in about 6 to 9 months' time. In the case of irrigated mulberry, where the plant will grow vigorously due to assured irrigation. The first dose of the nitrogenous fertilizer should be given after 2.5 months of planting, the rate of about 40 kg per hectare in the next 2 to 2.5 months. The plants would be rarely ready for first harvest of leaves. Thereafter, the normal fertilizer application program is to be allowed. Then, what are the farm implementations and their uses? The farm should possess following implementations. One, Certain functions help propagation, transplanting, pruning, pruning implement, pest management control, irrigation equipment. Each farmer should know about implementation, make and the common names and the proper usage, correct method of operations, and the proper maintenance, repairs, and storage methods. The first one is digging implements. These are uh, used for light digging, canal preparation, hand puddali, and crowbar and a pick axis is needed. Here we'll see those materials here you can here. The first one is hand puddali, this one, and cow bar at this one, crowbar, and pickaxe, pickaxes, and this one. This is made up of the cast iron. Most of all these is made up of iron, it seems. Uh, this is for digging and canal preparation, no? That's what all these like hand kuddali is made up of cast iron with a wooden handle, and a crowbar is made up of by the iron, and it is having one sharp end and a flat end used for deep digging, making pits in hard soil, and which is used for moving the stones. And pickaxes, this one is pickaxes. This is made up of cast iron, which measure by 21 inches, with one sharp end and the other end being flat and sharp. There is a round hole for fixing wooden handle in between two edges. It is used for deep digging, operate opens of terrace, digging pits, loosening of soil, and uprooting the weeds also. And when coming to the garden implements, a digging fork and hand, this one, digging fork, one end is looking like a brush or fork like manner. The other end is used for holding purposes. It is a four long pointed, which measures like 12 inches long with wooden handle. It is used for leveling, digging, and also useful in hill areas. It is a best and better implement for loosening the moist soil and mixing manures in pits. And next one is cultivator. Here you can see the hand cultivator. It is as such looking like a hand with fingers. So it is used for loosening the soil during the inner cultivation and uprooting grass and other uh, weeds. It is a iron implement with five prongs, means five fingers like looks like a finger, uh, which are curved in shape and pointed at the free end. All these prongs are held tightly to a handle. Here you can see the handle here. It is similar to our hand. Next, hoe and rake. Here, hoe and rake. It is a combination of hoe and also rake with a hole in the middle for fixing the handle. The sharp blade is of 14 centimeters long, which prong part is 15 centimeters long. And next one is garden fork. Here it is the garden fork. It is a cast iron one or sometimes with aluminium with four pointed prongs projecting from a handle. It is used for inner cultivation and leavening. And next one is propagating implements. Uh, and next one is transplanting implements used for transplanting purposes. One is a spade and another one is shovel, dibbler, transplanting, trowel. And what are the propagating? Here, see what these one transplanting. Here you can see all these grafting knife, weeding sickle, propagating implements. The vegetative preparation of mulberry is very popular and can be propagated by bill hook, budding knife, grafting knife, budding, grafting knife. All these you can see here. And what are the pruning implements? Pruning sickle, this one, pruning saw and pruning sickle. Here you can see. In Telugu we call it as a kodavali. Pruning sickle and pruning saw and pruning knife. Pruning means cutting. And gardening shear and tree pruner. The other things are water. Other implements are water can with rose, watering can with rose. Here, this is the water can with rose. Means which is made up of by a handle and a rose is fitted to the bottom of the can. It is used for the watering purposes to the in the nursery beds and seed beds and potted plants to avoid washing away. Means to avoid the soil erosion of the soil and damage to the young seedlings and watering pot, iron pan, plug, wheelbarrow. All these materials we need. All these are the transplanting towel, bill hook, budding grafting knife, budding knife, grafting knife, and garden chair, iron pan. All these are the farm implements. And when coming to the manures and manuring, the first one is irrigated. The present low yields of leaf and rain-fed mulberry are mainly due to poor rainfall, lack of inadequate applications of manures or fertilizers, even under the limitations of scanty rainfall prevalent in South India. Scope exists to improve uh, the leaf yields through optimum manures of fields. Therefore, manure should be applied in the form of both bulk organic manure like compost or cattle manure or chemical fertilizers. Organic manure should be applied at the rate of 10 tons per hectare immediately after pruning and inner cultivation and thoroughly incorporated into the soil. This should be carried out systematically once in a year so that organic content in soil is improved As a result, the fertilizers application is more effectively utilized. The alternate of the organic manure is not available. So the green manure crop like sun hemp can be raised annually during the rainy season and incorporated in the soil to serve the same purpose. So mainly for mulberry cultivation, we need sun hemp. In addition to bulk organic manure, chemical fertilizers should be applied at the rate of 10 kg, nitrogen 50 kg, phosphorus 50 kg, and potassium 50 kg per hectare in an equal volume. Even yesterday also we discussed about all this. The first dosage should be applied sometime in late August to August, 6 to 8 weeks after the application of the organic manure, and the second dose is sometime in late November during the northeast monsoon rains. The first dosage may be in the form of complex manure 15 east 15 east 15 east or 17 east 17 east 17 east about 300 kg or 6 bags in 17 east 17 east 17 east in ratio will be required to meet the requirements of the first dosage of 50 kg nitrogen, 50 kg potassium, and 50 kg phosphorus. The second dosage may be given as 50 kg nitrogen, 250 kg, and 5 bags of ammonium sulfate or about 100 kg, 2 bags of urea. While applying the fertilizer, it should be spread close to the plant on either side along the row. After application, the fertilization should be incorporated well into the soil by digging with spade or forking in with the digging fork for good results. This is very important operation. Otherwise, the fertilizer would be wasted and would not be effectively utilized by the plant. And when coming to the green manure, these crops can be grown as an intercrop with the mulberry during the monsoon season. Green manure crops, cowpea, horse gram, and daincha should be incorporated into soil by plucking before the flowering starts and well before the rain ceases. Subsequently, plots may be mulched with any dry material or plants that will not cause needs. Fertilizers dose again once again 50 nitrogen, 25 phosphorus, 25 potassium kg per year, hectare per year in two dosages. First dose Sunfala, uh, sorry, first dose Sufala 15 east 15 east 15 east 167 kg after 2 months of the planting. Second dose urea 55 kg or CAM 100 kg or ammonium sulfonate 125 kg at the end of September or early October before cessation of monsoon rains. Irrigation methods effective the crop growth and needed compensating the moisture loss of soil, and soil moisture in turn helps regulating in regulating the temperature of the plant body by transpiration and evaporation. Transpiration loss in mulberry has been worked out at 4 to 5 millimeter per day and requires irrigation. What are the irrigation methods? One is furrow method, flatbed, basin, overhead sprinkler method. Furrow methods, furrow method, it is followed for closely spaced, low type, low bush type plantation. We will discuss the irrigation uh, and methods of irrigation like furrow method and their advantages, flatbed method and their advantages and disadvantages, basin method, overhead sprinkler method and their disadvantages, along with the pruning and also weed control. And the last one is farm records and maintenance in the next class. So here, this is about today's class. What we discussed in today's class is about manuring and transplantation implements like farm implements and their uses. And we also discussed the planting methods and the preparation of land and climatic factors. And all these comes under the session of cultivation practice. Thank you.